Okay, we're recording here, we're recording there. Sorry. Yes.
Trying to quit my one I got now.
Seriously. Okay, we are October 24th, 2024. It is 6:30 PM. We are at our committee as a whole, and I think I finally got it right. Don't expect it again. So committee as a whole, and we can run through some of the legislation for tonight, and then we can toss this over to, we do have finance here tonight. But I think on this one, who do we have here tonight? I'm not sure which three we have, so we have streets, service, and somebody. So we'll go through those really quick. I don't think there's been too much going on, so I think we'll be able to roll through them pretty fast. So we'll start with roll call. If everybody just kind of wants to go down the list. Mayor Southard.
Cost.
Tommy Grant.
Jason Cameron.
Councilman J.P. Martin.
Jeff Wolchak.
All right. If you guys don't mind, let's just go through these things of legislation, and then we can give this to Jeff for a few to talk about some of the things he wants to talk about. Ordinance 26, 2024 and Ordinance 27, 2024, those are housekeeping items. The great part about Municode is that they keep us up to date and legal. So these are just some updates that we have to do for that.
Okay.
And Barb, do you have anything else to say about that? Because you do know more about this than I do.
They sent them to us, they review what's happened in the State House, and if we need to do something to bring ourselves up to compliance, they let us know. I forward them over to Jesse, Jesse does his Jesse magic and sends them back.
Wow.
And so these are both just first reading, but again, these are basic housekeeping items. Ordinance 28-2024, that is for the noise ordinance. That one is actually just up for first reading, so at this point, we're gonna read that tonight. I know that we have a couple questions about it. I know we really haven't gotten to discuss it in a work session, so we can bring that up next week, in 2 weeks. November, I think it's the 7th is our work session, if I'm not mistaken. So that one is just a first reading. Resolution 2024-28. This is the final reading for, no it's not. This is, it is the final reading, but it's for, huh? Okay, this is the final reading for the contracts, the recurring contracts that we do. And then last but not least is Resolution 24-29. And this is for the maintenance garage, also the third reading. Intent for both of those is to pass as an emergency, so we can get rolling on getting contracts signed. But again, those are both third readings. Does anybody have any questions about those before we move to finance? Problems, questions, concerns, or just want to talk about them? Go for it.
Resolution 24-28, the list of contracts.
Yes.
If at all possible, that could be held up for final reading.
Yes.
Because I think we're going to have a few more things to add to this. For starters, the standard insurance.
Yes.
I'll address that a little bit later. Okay.
Do you want to do that and then do a second one, or, well, if we're gonna do it as an emergency, it doesn't matter to me. If you guys just wanna table it tonight, we can bring it back up August, the first week of November. It's fine with me. We have plenty of time.
Yes, just give us a chance to make sure we've got everything on there. Like I said, I know I've got one more to add.
Okay,
Just came about.
okay. Let's just do, if you guys don't mind, when we start reading that tonight, if we can just table that one. And then we can bring it off the table literally in 2 weeks. Okay, and get that passed still before the end of the year, with no problem. Yes.
One more.
Go for it.
Okay. Resolution 2024-29.
Yes.
The dollar amounts listed there is my understanding, the exact amount of the bid. We generally run that up higher to allow for change orders,
Yes.
so I don't have to come back for another authorization. And I thought I edited this once already and changed that to be 20 grand higher to allow for potential change orders.
Do you want us to go get the amended one, and when we read that, we can amend it the way that we want it?
That may work.
How do you
I
guys-
can go do that.
That's what I'm saying, she can go do it now,
Okay.
and have everybody have the amended copy in front of them, and we can amend and then update it on everything.
Yes.
We're adding how much?
It should have been in the folder for pending legislation.
But 668 would go to 688?
Working copies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
688? 688?
it's at 688. It should be, I thought I changed it to 688. Yeah, I'm sorry, 688.
It should be at 688.
My bad.
We're just adding 20,000.
Okay, so I will have her adjust that and then we can do and just amend, because we won't really have. Yeah, we'll have to make sure which one has been in there, but yeah, however we need to.
Was the bid sent to council members? I'll go back through my email if I missed it.
Probably
I apologize.
not.
Okay.
I would assume the bids are all online. The 3 bids that we receive are all online. Our engineer goes through all of them and then he presents us with his recommendation. So we don't have like a big breakdown of everything. I don't know what all we have from it.
I have not seen the final document that came in yet.
No,
Okay.
I have not seen it yet either. This is the recommendation from the engineer, one of which we couldn't, I think actually both of the other 2 we couldn't even accept because of the amounts.
Yeah.
And then what he does is he actually checks through the references, he checks through all of that, before he sends us his recommendation.
We should have it shortly to be signing it.
Yes. And then they do send everything over to us, they send us the full contract, and then we execute that back and forth. Is pretty much how it goes. And then anytime there's a change order, then we go back and forth with that as well. But that's what he's wanting and there was no contingency amount, not that you saw.
Not in the resolution. There was, like I said,
Okay.
my understanding is the bid was 668,
No,
and that gives us no room for change orders.
okay. And if we have to do a change order, we have to come to you, and a lot of times change orders, you only have a couple days to make your change orders. Or it slows down the process significantly. If we had just had a meeting or something like that, we had to wait.
Got it.
It was in the working copies folder, but I didn't know it had changed, so I didn't put it in the back.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
So we all did it right. Woohoo.
Could let the contractor know there's an 11% rebate at Menards just in
Yeah.
case.
That's what I
Can
would
we
just
get
tell
an
them, yeah.
11% rebate on the contractor?
Can we make sure that they're using those?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys want to take over, Jason, if you kind of want to take over, if anybody wants to take over, if you guys just want to let Jeff talk, or if you guys want to talk. I don't have anything for streets. I don't know if you have anything for streets, other than we had our meeting last week. There was a couple of council people that was able to be there. Some people asked some questions. Again, we won't know if we get the loan/grant until end of the year. Many people ask questions about sidewalks and things like that, but again, this is, I stress this probably 10 times, this is a streets project. We hope to be able to add sidewalks into it, but right now it is still set as a street project.
If
And
we
then-
can, we will. How about that?
Yeah, we definitely will. So that was kind of the streets, the only update that I really have for streets for people that weren't able to come. And then services, I think, they're working on leaf
Leaf
pickup.
pickup.
Yeah,
How's that
December
going?
14th, I want to say, it's going pretty good.
I haven't seen it.
I've seen them.
Um,
I haven't had any complaints.
Still working on a couple of things with food trucks. We have a couple of opening dates, I believe, for next year. And, the 22nd of November. I think that's taken care of. I'm working on that.
I just fixed this Friday. That was
Okay, gotcha. I'll be working on that.
All right. Well, that's so close to the holidays. If we don't get one, we don't get one. That's kind of how I see those. Because it gets busy. All right, if you guys don't mind, obviously we have budget coming, we have all of that kind of stuff. So if you guys don't mind, let's fling this over to Jeff. Let Jeff give us any updates, where we're at, and then I assume then the first meeting in November will probably pick up from where we left off. And any updates.
dive into the budget in more detail.
Yes,
Okay,
perfect.
so I'm going to pass this down. Everybody?
And does everybody have, or has everybody seen the planning and zoning, their request that they sent over as well? I know you have it.
Yeah.
I was sent an email, I don't know who got it and who didn't. This was sent to myself, I don't know who all was sent to. So there's that, if you want to look at it.
It was sent to all P and Z members.
Oh, it was just sent to P&Z? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what they've asked for to be put in the budget as well.
Okay. What I passed out to you is a list of our projects. And there are 4 projects that are a priority and we need to focus on. Those are the lakes restoration, Minerva Lake Road. And I'm going to qualify Minerva Lake Road because it's pending approval of a combination of grant loan from Ohio Public Works Commission. If we don't get the grant loan, that project's going to be.
We only have 3
back burner
projects.
for a little bit.
We only have 3 projects.
And the amount of the grant loan total is $1 million. $400,000 grant, $600,000 loan. The third project is the maintenance building, and the fourth one becomes the pool improvements. Those are the 4 projects we've got to focus on and get things done. Okay? I've also highlighted those on the list here, so we can go through them. Again, those 4 projects are the key for the next year to 2 years. That we've really got to focus on that. Like I said, Minerva Lake Road project is in the vicinity of about $1.4 million, of which we're trying to get a combination loan grant from OPWA, Ohio Public Works Commission, for $1 million. The rest of it will be a combination of dollars that are in the street maintenance fund, permissive motor vehicle registration fees with the county auditor, county engineer. There is both sewer improvements, and a little bit with the water line. All of those have additional dollars that we can use to cover those pieces. If you notice, there's a contingency down there, and that would be covered by the grant loan too. How this really works as we get closer and we know what OPWC approves, I can better adjust the dollar amounts. Because there is 2 more legs of Minerva Lake Road that need attention, if I can avoid utilizing the dollars with the county engineer and save it for those 2 legs, I'm going to try and do that. But again, it's juggling the dollars available for this project. Okay? The dollars with the county engineer can only be used on Minerva Lake Road. That is the only road in this municipality that is on the county map and eligible for the permissive money that they hold for us. Right now, that's in the vicinity, should be in the vicinity of about $155,000 to $160,000 by the time this project starts. Okay?
And you're only looking at using 90 of that? Is that what?
Potentially, yes. Okay?
So that would leave us about 60, 65?
I'm sorry.
That would leave us 60, 65?
Yes.
Between 60 and 65?
If I can avoid utilizing those dollars, I'm going to, and save them for the other 2 lakes in the Minerva Lake that need attention.
The extra money, is that what you're trying to avoid using, or the
Yeah.
90,000?
The extra.
The 60,000-ish, is that what you're trying to avoid
I'm
using?
trying to avoid the $90,000.
The 90,
Oh,
okay.
you're trying to avoid
As
this.
little of it as possible.
Okay, so then we could potentially have the whole 160,000?
Yes.
To go to one of, yeah.
Potentially.
Okay,
We'll know more as the approval comes from OPWC and we refine some things with this project.
Yep.
Okay? Right now, sidewalks are not part of what's being engineered for this project. It's optional. It's extra and it's dependent upon additional resources coming available from another source.
How much is it?
We don't know yet. The way that we're putting it out, and this came from this meeting, the way that we're putting it out is, and I tried to express this as much as I could, probably 400 times. This is a streets project, but option A and option B are 5-foot sidewalks, 4-foot sidewalks. So those are gonna be bid completely separate.
We're not doing option C?
Just,
10-foot sidewalk.
no. I don't wanna do that, and there was nobody that had any interest in that. And basically, it was just like this, that we said, do you guys wanna bid like those stairs? Do you guys wanna bid like the heated sidewalks and stuff like that? And we said, no, yes, no, whatever. So that's what this is. We would be separating it completely, because again, that would be coming from a totally separate source.
So-
What are pathways?
Same,
That's the sidewalks, and that's that why it's TBD?
yes.
Just to show that we want to do something like that, but we have no funding necessarily right
Right.
now.
Correct.
And all that,
Right.
okay, okay.
And we can't utilize dollars for streets for sidewalks.
Right, right, okay.
Supposedly, there's money that's gonna come available from the CODA levy that's
Yeah.
on the
On the
ballot.
ballot.
That's
Everybody
wait and
vote.
see. Okay?
The election hasn't been held yet.
What's that?
I thought it was so long ago.
So-
We have so long, so.
A Couple other road projects down the road, but not priority right now. Northland Plaza Road, there's a section of it that is ours that'll get repaired next year. Okay? Talking with Mike, those dollars should be pretty good as far as the estimate goes. Okay? Valley Road has been on the list for quite some time. It keeps getting pushed back because
47.
we have improvements we want to try to do with the pool, we don't need to chew up the road. But what I'm a little concerned with, listening to Mike, is whether we may actually have to do that road sooner because of other problems, such as storm drainage, water, and I think a sewer line with it. Okay? So we're holding off on that one for now. East Shore Drive is out there on the list, and these are streets that were on the pavement condition assessment and marked as very poor. They get the first attention. It's not something that we just willy-nilly pull out of a hat and say we're doing this. Okay? On to the TIF projects on page 2. We've got the Lakes Rehab, and again, that one,
Funding dependent.
yes. So we've got engineering work that's going to start to take place with that. The whole thing is dependent upon other sources that hopefully we get something in writing that tells us what's available. The maintenance building, we have the money from the TIF bonds yet that will cover that, but I'm afraid we're only going to have about $750,000 left of the bond proceeds for the lakes. And that's where the lake projects and additional funding comes back into play. Like I said, hopefully we can get it. My understanding, and I'm hearing, yes, we have it, but I've not seen anything in writing. Okay? So until I got it in writing, we don't have it.
Well, and none of those can be used to dredge, and the biggest issue with the lake is the dredging of the lake.
You can't make it prettier unless you fix it first. Like you can't put wallpaper on like, I don't even know, crap
So,
drywall.
Last project on here, swimming pool.
Can we go back to the maintenance building for just a moment?
Yes,
So on here, it has the total being 658 for the construction. And then you said we need to add another 20, but that's higher than what we have here. That would be 678, and we're looking to approve
I may be
688
off on my
tonight.
number there, okay?
Yes.
And did we already pay for the engineering separately?
Yeah, we've been paying for it for a long time.
But that's not part of what we're approving tonight, it's the funding for construction. Which is not quite right? Which one is wrong?
It shows for construction, oh yeah, it shows 658, it should be 668,
Okay,
so that will get fixed, okay?
okay. I just want to double check since the numbers were a little.
Actually, it's a good catch, thank you. Anyways, okay, swimming pool, I keep telling you that I can do $2 million in bonds payable from income tax. We will have money setting in the pool improvement fund that we could conceivably do the bathhouse first and pay cash for it if we can get it done for in the vicinity of 250,000.
Plus if we get the grant.
Okay? If we get the grant, that helps us out even more.
Correct. So,
Okay? That means that's less dollars that I have to come up with as far as income tax paying for bonds.
my only question on this is, would we really pay out that money in 2025? We would probably start that construction price, but it would probably spread out over
Well,
2 fiscal years.
I'm hoping the bathhouse would be 2025, like in September they would
Fall.
start it in the fall, and I'm hoping between September and December it
You
would,
think they could do that?
I mean,
so,
do I think they could? Maybe, but I don't know.
I mean, we don't have anything for them to even tell us how long it would take.
No.
But,
on the positive side, if we can hit those 25.
And
At the end
26.
of the season of 25 for the bathhouse, end of the season for 26 for the pool, great. If not, we'll know as time progresses a little bit if we have to slide that back a little further.
okay.
Again, I don't even know when we will hear.
Even the pool would probably span over 2 fiscal years.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Because we would pay,
Sure.
it would take all winter to do it, from my
sure.
understanding. So-
And I'm probably looking at potentially a total of about $2.3 million to cover the pool improvements, including the bathhouse. So, right now, that fund has 110,000 left in it. I think we owe MKSK about, I want to say $6,000 yet,
Okay.
okay? And part of the budget for this year was transferring another $200,000 from the general fund to the pool improvement fund. So that really puts us in the vicinity of 300,000 sitting out there.
Because with the grant that we applied for, it's 50/50. So whatever we put in, they put in if we get it. And I don't know, I do not remember when we would hear. I know we've still been supplying information nonstop for Ben. So I don't remember when we will hear if we get that or not.
What's the likelihood we will?
So,
Ben has, the only thing is, Stacy just asked, what's the likeliness that we will get something like that? So far, everything that Ben has helped us with, we have been successful.
100%? Hit
So
rate,
he's-
I'll take
yeah.
it. Okay.
so, we can revisit the projects when we meet for the work session, if there's additional questions or items that need to be worked into it and out there. Keep in mind that a road project, you would start, if we start engineering today, you may be able to do the construction on it in '26. There's timing in this. So if we've got a road project out there in '27, '28, we're actually gonna start the engineering 2 years before that. If it's a smaller one, it could be 1 year. So there's more to play with how the timing of these projects.
Yeah. So you have 5,000 for this year, you have 5,000 for next year for Valley Road. How much engineering has actually happened?
Some of it is already done and it was combined. I can't really tell you exactly because,
But we've spent some.
yes,
Yeah, okay,
there was engineering work done at the same time as the engineering work was done for Maplewood.
okay.
So if it sets, it's gonna have to get updated. But it's not at the point where full-blown plans yet.
Yeah, we've tried to mix Valley in with a couple different projects, they've just not worked.
Right.
Yeah, so,
Sorry.
Keith,
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
You mentioned more Minerva Lake Road, and I'm just not, do I not see it on here?
All the
or
way down is an East
Is
Shore
it just
Drive.
that one?
No, East Shore Drive to Valley is the only one on here. Well, Minerva Lake,
well, the
it
one
says
above it is actually,
also, yeah, the West Leg.
yeah. Those are the other two. And to be honest with you, that is my best estimate on the cost. So I need to get more refined thoughts from our engineer on it.
Mike mentioned in the meeting that we had that there were other places on Minerva Lake Road
No,
that
I mean, I
were,
was there.
yeah, I don't, but he never really did say specifically either.
Other items concerning the budget that I just want to bring up and kind of fill you in on. As far as wage increase for next year, we're only looking at 3% cost of living in there. Okay, that's it. I just got word this evening, our healthcare is only gonna go up 5% next year. We were told initially 7 to 8%. Our consultant that works with it got us down to 5 with Anthem. Okay?
Nice.
There's another change that goes with the healthcare. It used to be that life insurance was combined with the healthcare policy. It's no longer that way. The Standard bought out Anthem's life policy. So now we'll end up with a separate contract with the Standard for life insurance. And factored into that is also additional life coverage and spousal coverage, but the employee gets to select and choose that one. We will not pay for that. There will also be a short-term disability policy combined in there that we will pay for, but I'm going to adjust the rates that the employees contribute, roughly about $26, $27
Is that a month?
a month. So that all gets packaged together with things for us. There will be forthcoming an ordinance for transferring dollars from general fund to various funds. Right, when the budget was initially done, it was $200,000 to the pool improvement fund, $200,000 to a street improvement fund. What I'm looking at right now is an additional $100K to the storm sewer improvement, because not listed yet, and I've not got a response from our engineer. There should be a storm sewer project that came about from the 22 and 23 CCTV work. So I'm waiting to hear on that one.
What
this-
maintenance fund will it come from?
it'll come out of- I'm sorry, which piece?
What fund is that going to come out of?
It'll come out of a combination of the storm sewer improvement fund and the storm sewer maintenance fund.
And we have the funds in there to do that, I'm guessing.
That's about the cost, yes.
Okay.
We should have. Again, it depends upon the cost, okay? I'm looking at actually transferring $350,000 to the street improvement fund. That sets dollars aside for all those street projects we've got to deal with, okay? $200,000 to go to the pool fund. We're looking at creating what is called an equipment replacement fund. And right now, we're looking more at all of the equipment that's in the police department that over time has to be replaced. So what I've asked the chief to do is put together a list of his equipment. We'll get the useful life assigned to it, and we'll start funding that replacement fund based upon useful life. So we have things set aside annually to cover, say, new computers in 5 years. Radar
And that'll
detectors.
be added to this list as a capital expenditure or part of operating or ongoing?
There will be more tied with the operations.
Okay.
It will not be part of the capital improvements.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And there's going to be a compensated absences fund created. We have a payoff that occurs with people that either leave or retire. And we've got some people that will be retiring down the road soon. Soon to me is 3 to 5 years, okay? That I want to ensure we have dollars set aside to cover that expense. And I have Rita looking into the balances as far as the sick leave and vacation so that we can figure out what this liability looks like.
And some of those people have been here for a long time.
Yes.
Is there not a regulation, I'm just thinking back to my banking days, is there not a regulation that that type of expense has to be funded up to a certain amount? So like, we have some of that and what we're saying is we don't have it, no?
There is no requirement.
Huh, okay.
A lot of places pay it as it occurs. And some people can have $25,000, $30,000 as a payoff. And that's not exactly the easiest thing to deal with on some budgets. Okay? It's a lot easier to set dollars aside annually. Now, if for some reason we need to pull those dollars back, the statute that allows for the creation of the street improvement fund, compensated absences fund, the equipment replacement fund, and, pool fund, it allows us to pull it back to, without having to go to a court to get an authorization to transfer it back. Same statute that creates it allows for it to be rescinded just by council passing an ordinance. But right now, it makes more sense, let's get the dollars set aside so we can have sufficient funds for these projects, okay? That'll be forthcoming for next meeting. And it can go 3 readings, but I will need you to pass it by emergency so that I can post it in 24. Because the 3 readings will put you the first one in December, okay?
Do you have a general idea what that overall liability currently is in terms of
Not yet.
dollars? Okay.
That's what she's working on.
And knowing that I've got a few years out to
Yes.
do this, I can start setting dollars aside.
At this point, we're not expecting anyone, we have a couple that could retire tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I think, I would say we probably only have 3 total, I'm at 3. 3 total that if they all 3 came in today, they could retire.
Yeah.
I don't see that I would also agree with that. I don't think that you're gonna have any of those in the next, short term, but that's why we're talking about it, is, I think we have a couple years to get it situated.
So, out of pure curiosity, just trying to understand everything, from as a private individual that works for, a private company, I have like a 10-day maximum carryover of vacation days, PTO days. That's not the case here?
We have a max on vacation that can carry over,
Okay.
okay? And I think we're at 2 years. Accrual,
Accrual.
yes. Sick leave accumulates without limit. However, the payoff is restricted to 1/4 of 1,000 hours. So if somebody has 1,000 hours of sick leave accumulated, they can only get paid off at 250 hours. That's by state law.
Okay.
Because we're a statutory village, we have to follow state law.
Does statutory do that thing for vacation? Or does council have the ability to say,
Vacation
hey,
is
only
off.
10 days carryover?
Vacation is our local policy,
Okay.
okay?
I'm assuming you could probably start something like that moving forward, but the people that.
Yeah, no, I'm
currently-
just curious about it.
I don't.
The occurrences of the payoff for sick leave and vacation, we always have to pay vacation off when somebody leaves, period.
Sure.
Okay? It's very common in local governments that they have these balances that have to be paid off. Some places even allow or have comp time, and that's got to be paid off upon termination or
Yeah.
when they leave.
We do not have that.
We do not have comp time, and we will not have comp time.
We will never have comp time, and all I'm gonna say is, we don't know why, just don't ask.
No, I've always understood people bank the pay time off because they can, it adjusts their pay and salary for a year and then it can elevate their pension if they have a pension with PRS or whatnot.
They are, I would say this, as far as most people here, we are very flexible on people taking vacations and things like that, but the other part that you have to remember is there are times in which we don't have the staffing
Yeah.
to let people just take 2 weeks here, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks here. So there becomes a balance
I
of,
get it.
again, so we do have some that have some carryover. We do not allow personal days to carry over, those
those
do not, those expire. They get 3 a year. Every person here gets 3 a year. And those do expire at the end of the year.
We also allow for people to cash out part of their sick leave and vacation.
Yes, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I do that after the year, so I don't have to pay pension on it,
Yes.
okay? So that helps keep the liability down, but most people, when they know they're so many years from retirement, they're gonna let that accumulate so they
Right.
get that lump sum, so. Okay, I have 2 more things, quick on it. A little bit of an update on the income tax. I have good news and ugly news.
Okay.
Good news is, we're currently running 10% ahead of last year on our income tax collections. We should hit $2,245,000 for this year.
Okay.
Very helpful. And I'm hoping that, at least budget-wise, we can count on a 3% growth going forward with that. It'll be very helpful. Now for the ugly news. As you recall, WIDA started a subpoena program. And they sent out 413 subpoenas.
Okay.
Of the 413, there is still, where's my
300.
There's still 370 some
Yeah.
that did not respond,
Nice.
okay? So we still have a significant compliance issue with people not filing income tax returns.
It's like a 90%.
20% range.
It's like 90%.
Are you
didn't
allowed to
respond.
say what was collected in, if you can't, don't, but can you say what was collected in that?
I'll say it.
Go for it.
Okay.
Because this is
So-
shocking if you think about how many people haven't responded.
Okay.
There was a much smaller reply to the non-filing letters that went out before the subpoenas. Okay? So of the people that replied to these letters, the tax liability that came about, and this will go back 5 years on some people,
And that's as far back as you can go.
$125,000.
Say that, sorry, I was talking.
Okay?
Say that again.
$125,000.
Tax liability relating to those that replied, which is a small number, is $125,000. The penalty on it is almost $31,000. Interest on it is $14,000. So the net amount due is almost $170,000.
And that's of 10% of people.
Yeah, of which 50,000 has been paid to date. Okay? I have a list of all of the individuals that have not responded to the subpoenas. I am waiting to find out whether I can disclose. I believe I can because there is no tax information there. It's plain and simple. These are the people that did not file a tax return.
We just
And
do
again, I have a list of the 370 some that have not complied. Now, keep in mind too, every year we do a subpoena program.
Another year falls
There's
off.
a lot of these people on there for 5 years, which means that for 5 years they've ignored this stuff.
And every
So-
year we wait is another year we lose.
Can we?
We are in the process of working with Jesse and trying to work out the process for taking these people to court for failure to file.
Right.
We will, between Rita and us, we will become very aggressive for the non-filers.
And and just as everybody already knows this, every single dollar we collect goes towards one of these projects. The amount of money that we collect on property taxes is nothing compared to what our RETA tax is. And for all of us that are paying this every single year and watching other people not is disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting. I pay for it for my children, I pay for it for myself. Yes, I work in the village, but I have a business outside of there, I pay for it. I spend thousands, and I get tired of watching this list come through, and each year knowing that we are missing out on that money, and seeing these types of lists of projects that we need, that we could be getting done, but these people just don't care. And if there's one thing that I will do, I've said it's gonna be the lakes, I've said it's gonna be this, I've said it's gonna be that, it's gonna go after these people that refuse to pay their taxes. It's disgusting to make all of us do it and pay for these projects, and then they get to benefit off of our projects, the property values and all of that. We work extremely hard in here for this village to be what it is, and these people are stealing from us.
So, last piece of
Mic drop.
that I have, not budget related. Hopefully by next council meeting, you will receive a revised copy of the employee handbook.
Finally.
It has gone from about 50 pages to 115 pages. All because of compliance issues that we have to have in there, okay? Leah and I will be trying to focus on wrapping that up next week, getting back through it again. We will be reviewing it with the mayor and the police chief too.
Do we vote on that?
Pardon?
Do we vote on that?
Yes, you do.
Okay,
So there will be an ordinance tied to it.
okay.
3 readings, and it will also have to be passed by emergency in December so that, well, maybe, it's effective for the first of the year. There may be some things in there that we go backwards on because we haven't been doing it that we need to be doing. Okay? I'll know more when I get back in it and read back through it again. Get an update.
There wasn't a lot that we changed. It was a lot that legally has changed. And maybe what we can do is kind of put some there was probably, what, two sections?
There's 2 chapters in it that really is the meat of it relating to the
Correct.
employees. The rest of it is drug-free workplace, those kind of things.
Discrimination, the basic, the thing,
Equal
the,
opportunity,
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
and then there's also a lot of things in there that, you know, we have to have a specific place if somebody came in here to breastfeed, if
Right.
somebody did this, if somebody did, like, all of that stuff is in there.
Good.
Yeah. Behavior for employees, what happens if we have to discipline.
But most of them are pretty standard, like, we didn't change, the things that we changed, not changed, but the things that we did is updated what we had from, what was the last time our employee handbook was updated was when?
About probably 3 years ago now.
Yeah, so there's a lot in there now.
Yeah. And we've been this has been a year in process already.
You guys passed legislation for them to do it, they've had it in their hands since January, first week of January.
Yeah. So, it's,
I'll
Go
make
for it.
this quick. One question, pardon my newness. Of the capital projects only, what will we need residents to vote on? Any of it?
nothing.
So we do the TIF bonds.
Those are already done. I have the TIF bonds were sold back in 22
Okay.
before this building started.
Oh, okay.
We're
And
ahead.
that OPWC loan and that sort of thing, and so.
That's an award.
So nothing that's on here is really gonna add to resident burden as it stands? Okay.
Nothing.
No, just pay your taxes.
Jeff,
The only one we have-
Jeff wouldn't let us talk about it.
Yeah, there would be a hard no.
Resolved incident debt being issued
Uh-huh.
is about $2 million to finance pool improvements.
Okay,
Okay?
perfect.
But my understanding is Jeff feels confident in our ability to repay such a
I've already
bond.
factored that in, payable from income tax.
Okay.
So I stay away from the property taxes because that drags it into our debt limit. And if you put it out there for the voters to vote and it goes down, how do you justify making the improvements and now all of a sudden issuing debt payable from income tax?
Yeah, what he said.
Thank you. Can we circle back one more time to the Minerva Lake Road project, please?
Sure.
The OPWC grant / loan, do we know interest rate on what those might be yet? And what are the terms again and what would our payments be?
I'm not certain on the interest rate yet.
Okay,
Sometimes, whether they still give interest-free loans, I don't know.
right,
Today's market, probably not.
right.
I thought when I initially read something on the application that it would be 27 years.
Okay.
I would prefer to repay it over 20,
Sure.
and that would be paid out of the street fund every year.
And he sent us a couple different options that he thought we had a better chance of getting.
Yes.
So there were some that were would have been very difficult for us to get, that might have been a little bit more attractive for us, but not for them.
Right.
So we kind of did do like a middle of the road. Like, we didn't do the most aggressive, but we didn't do, like, hey, we're willing to pay anything that, as long as you give us the loan. But I don't know that it was a specific, like, interest, like he said, it was like do you remember, was it like 70, 30, 40, 60, like grant versus loan?
There were some combinations heavier on the
Yeah.
grant side, and
The score.
Our grant writer felt that
Yeah.
that would not fly as
Correct.
well as the 60-40 split.
Yeah, so
there
was something that
Right.
we were shooting for, but again, we won't know until,
Yeah.
and we sent Eric last Friday, Eric went to, I believe it was Morpsey, and did a presentation there for, part of the process as well. So Ben recommended that we go and do this because it looks better on our application, so everything that Ben has asked us to do for the application to make it as beneficial as possible for the village, we have done.
Right. I'm just trying to think about what our ongoing debt looks like for things like that.
Right now, we have, I believe, 2 OPWC loans left.
Right,
They will be paid off in 26.
okay, so 2 more
25,
years,
26, right about the same time we start paying on the new one,
okay,
okay?
okay. But those are interest-free right now.
I think one has a small interest rate.
Yeah, one was a 0%.
We had 3 projects financed by OPWC in the past.
Right.
2 of the 3 were interest free.
Okay. One's dropped off. One's dropped off already. And we're just down to 2. In 2026, is it the beginning of the year or by
July.
July? So we have a year and a half basically left. Okay.
If you go to OPWC's website, they say 0%.
Oh,
The website says interest rate is 0%. Life loan can't exceed 30-year terms.
Hey, if we get 0%, I will be
Ecstatic.
okay.
He will say yes to things.
Yes.
But my suspicion is we could find ourselves maybe around 3%.
Even at 3%, I think at this point, we'd be thrilled.
That's
Yeah,
cheap.
3%
Yes.
would be nice.
Okay. So,
Cool. Can I add, sorry, I'm gonna ask one more thing. I'm about to open a can maybe. So, I know we're talking about, you said 3% for salaries, that fund, right? What about the resource officer? I know we get so much money from Westerville. It seems like he's doing a lot more for Westerville than for us. And can we renegotiate that or?
we could probably try, but from what have found out, Westerville City Schools, contracts they have with Westerville and others for SRO are all 50%. And yes, we may get about 6 weeks of that person's time after school's out.
Right,
He's got additional training, he's got
Right.
vacation days. So.
I think there's other people that will
Westerville
agree with
City
you.
Schools is certainly getting a benefit from
yeah.
us.
There were a lot of posts over the summer with him at different events for Westerville schools and I'm like, okay, this is our time now.
Now, that said, he certainly does have the personality for that job. I couldn't do it.
I think the
Yeah.
question that people have asked though is what benefit, other than the fact that it's a local Minerva Park officer at the school, but the residents are paying for
Well,
Westerville to have a resource officer in
here's
the
the other
school.
side, because we have 3 schools in the village. If the resource officer wasn't there, a lot of our officers would constantly be called to respond to problems there. So the resource
But
officer
wouldn't-
is handling these things.
But would we be able to require Westerville to have their own in there? These are just I mean, I've had people ask these questions as well, so I'm not in disagreement. The amount of, I mean, we're paying 50% for him to be there, and I do completely agree with that. The amount of things that he's had to deal with, if they had to call one of our officers in there, it would be a lot, but in the same sense,
And no reimbursement.
with no reimbursement.
Yeah.
But at what point is it being taken advantage of in a small village?
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that one. All we can do is.
That, and honestly, that is probably a chief conversation and question. And to answer your question, we did look at the contract several weeks ago. We are in a 5-year contract, but can be renegotiated. It has to be done before March. Like he said, we did do some due diligence on our end just to kind of verify what some of the other ones are doing. But we also did verify that there are other cities that have a much better deal than we do. Not saying that Westerville is gonna do it, but there's other places that they definitely reimburse in a lot higher, percentage and do cover a little bit more. And they do cover part of his benefits as well as his
His wages over time that's related, and all of his benefits are included in that 50% reimbursement.
so, but to answer, yes, he definitely works for them. I would veer to say 85 to 90%. We do not.
Yeah.
So-
And we supply his car, his vehicle and.
Correct.
It's an old car.
Sure.
It's not the oldest.
It's not really one that's meant to chase people down.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you say that louder? It's cool,
It
it's
doesn't
just
have,
for show.
doesn't have the same equipment as our other vehicles.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's good to
No,
know
it
that.
doesn't. Yes, it is
If people
correct.
are asking, so.
It is an older one,
Yeah.
it allows transportation for the end back and forth to the schools and here.
Okay.
And that's part of
Still
the-
has lights, but.
Right.
It
And that is
provides
part of
a-
the requirement, that they do require one of our cruisers to be sitting down there, so people are aware that there is an officer that is down there.
Sure.
Could they go 50% on that?
So,
And I know a lot of our
Some do.
residents'
That's what I'm
kids
saying.
attend those schools, so,
yes.
or we do get that benefit.
Well, we may only get 50% reimbursed. There's still additional benefits of that resource officer being available to the schools throughout the day.
Yeah,
And it doesn't pull our other officers off the street to go respond to
Yeah,
issues.
I think
I
about
just-
an officer not involved in that school and then having to show up for a situation, the extreme situations that they have to deal with, and then they're like, like it's paperwork and all this stuff, and you're like,
I think the question boils down to, you know, Westerville has Genoa, Westerville has, you know, those, but we're not Genoa.
yeah.
So for us to pay 50% is a strain on our budget, whether anybody wants to look at it at 50%, when we are not, yes, we're using them in those schools, and yes, they are our schools, and yes, they are paying income tax, so I mean, it's like, where do you draw the line between,
right.
we have other properties that are over there that
You
call
know, when
police
it
all the
was
time.
sold to us, it was, hey, they get them for the school year, we get them for whenever he's not in school.
Little bit during the summer.
It
So, also,
doesn't feel like that.
Westerville City Schools is now our #1 income tax.
Correct. So there's two
Yeah.
sides to it, so it's
Yeah.
like which way, but people have asked, I mean, again, people have asked that question, are we really getting a good deal? And it's like, I think for the people that have a child in those schools, they probably feel like, yes, it's a great benefit. But people that don't have a child in that school are thinking, you know, I'm paying a lot of money for a resource officer to be in that school, is that selfish? Maybe.
There's never anything wrong with bringing up a conversation, finding
No,
out, is this fair? Is this
Yeah.
compensable?
No, I think it's.
And is there a way to renegotiate it, and maybe that's something that we do in the next year or two?
It doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah, I think, approach them for it. It's 260/40.
Right, I mean,
60 them, 40 us, no.
correct.
Yeah.
Or, you know, is there other things, you know, he mentioned like the car, is there other things that, you know, if they contributed even just a little bit for some of those things? And the answer just might be no. I really truly don't know. I know that it was, I'm quite sure that they have the standard contract and it is what it is.
Right.
But who knows?
Thank you for the conversation.
All right, anything else on finance? So, as you guys know, I'll just mention a couple things. They sent over this from planning and zoning. There's gonna be, obviously, a larger discussion at the next, okay, you guys have, pass it down. This is the request that they've asked for to be put in the budget. Jeff came tonight to go over, obviously, our capital projects. We know that there's street projects, we know that there's sewer projects, we know that there's, potholes, we know that there's tree cutting down, we know that there's so many other different things that are priorities. This is really to give you guys a big look at, this is where we are, everything that we do, and this is not me being mom or dad here, but everything that we do is gonna come from these projects. So this isn't to say that we can't do this or we can't do that, we can't mulch certain things and we can't do whatever. It just means, as you can see, this is millions of dollars of things that we want to get done, and everything we do outside of these particular projects is coming from somewhere. Hopefully we can continue to get our money from our income tax. Hopefully we can continue to bring people in and get some extra funds that way. I mean, as you guys can see, $100 and some thousand could make a huge dent in some of these projects.
Right.
So, bring any questions like that next week, not next week, but in 2 weeks, as far as budget goes. If you have questions about that, Chief will be here. Well, I think if you want to talk specifics about, you know, whether it's the resource officer or anything specific to that, I would say we could invite Chief to that conversation just so he can answer those, because he was in those meetings. But not just that. If there's other things that you want to talk about as far as something that Eric might need to be a part of or anything like that, just make sure you guys tell us for the work session, because I can have any of them here. I know Jeff will be here. Typically, Chief does not come to that meeting, but if you guys do want to have some specific for the budget, police conversations, we can have him here. Other than that, yes, we can still talk to him before the meeting on the 7th, because nothing's gonna be, or I'm sorry, is that the 14th then? So if we do safety that particular time, if somebody just wants to have those conversations or any other conversations, we can bring up budget stuff even that particular night, because it'll just be the first reading for the budget on the 14th. But anything you guys do have for that, you guys can email Jeff or email that person, or email whoever's chairing that, just to kind of get the ball rolling to discuss other projects that you guys may be looking at. And that's that. I don't know.
So was this presented to you?
He has it, yes.
He did
He
get
has
it,
seen
okay.
it, and again, that's kind of why I'm bringing it up. It's, 10,000 here, 5,000 here, I'm just merely bringing it up. We've started talking about potentially putting money aside for, the replacement of, like, he had talked about, but we've talked about the UTV. At some point, that UTV is gonna go out at some point. So there are other things that we wanna make sure that we're setting ourselves up for, to not get hit with the $20,000, this needs done, this needs done. So if we can start doing some of that stuff, we've talked about that internally. So making 2025 the year of, this is what we need to do,
Yeah, I mean,
might need to be a big focus.
my thought is, hey, this is the bucket of money we have, how do you wanna,
Correct.
which of these projects do you wanna put into this
Correct.
bucket? Would kind of be my thing.
And we didn't necessarily.
We can prioritize.
Right, and I don't wanna say that we specifically picked this list. These have been the top 4 priorities for this council, the past council, and the council before.
I mean, I'm okay with these.
Oh, yeah.
things. I'm just talking about like Brady's list or P and Z's list plus whatever else there might be.
Well, there's other street things that Stacy and I have talked about. We mentioned it very briefly. That's not gonna be super cheap. I can't remember how much it was, because it was something that we remembered last week, that I was like, oh, what about that? And like the crack seal through the streets, again, I think that was $50,000 or $75,000.
Right.
That's not in any of this stuff.
Right.
And as he mentioned, raises and things like that, you guys did a gracious raise for them 2 years ago, and because they were significantly, I don't want to use the word underpaid, but in comparison to surrounding agencies, you got them caught up to a good, comfortable level, but we don't feel comfortable with all of these projects going any higher than the standard where we're at. So that's why you guys aren't seeing anything out of a norm for this, because it just isn't feasible this year.
There has been, I've heard some questions about, or requests to have money for this and certain other things. Some of that's already been in the budget.
Correct.
It's just not getting done, because we don't have the staff. Okay? So, again, there will be those things in the budget. Like you mentioned, the crack ceiling, that was in the budget this year, it'll be in the budget again next year, and we'll actually start to get some of that done, hopefully, on it.
I would, the service road,
Yes,
can we kind of start really looking into that? I know we're trying to figure out who owns what and who has,
We know who.
that is the Northland Plaza Drive one right
Oh,
here.
that is that?
That is the
Oh,
Northland
okay.
Plaza Drive that we're talking about.
okay.
Um,
I thought it was the other end.
no, we are talking about that little section right there.
Okay.
And yes, Blendon owns a little bit of it, we own a little bit of it, Columbus owns a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So that has been a conversation, depending on what map you look at, depends on who owns it.
I think, yeah, can we get these conversations with them all and
Yes.
saying, okay, let's get this project,
And it may just need to be, somebody needs to take possession of it,
yeah.
instead of this much is yours, this much is ours, and this much, somebody's gonna have to take possession of the whole little
And that's
section.
in Northland.
I vote Columbus.
Is that, I mean, really, is that project really just resurfacing? We're not doing sewers or,
Correct.
But it's
That's
still
my
fairly
understanding.
expensive.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
not, I just wanna understand.
But that's just for
It's more than
resurfacing, yeah.
resurfacing because the foundation of the road has some problems. So that's gonna get fixed and repaved.
Well, I know that.
No storm drainage, no sewer.
Okay, I know,
Chip and tar.
Mike was saying kind of our go-forward strategy is that, like, concrete layer underneath. So is that what you're talking about? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't understand that that was North
And-
End. I was thinking you were talking the other end, like Cleveland Avenue side.
To
We
some
had-
extent,
Sorry.
that's outside of my,
Okay,
When we had our asphalt guy come out and talk to us about the potholes, that was one of the big, projects he put on that list was the crack sealing and that section, and just doing some bigger sections throughout different areas. Some of our potholes have just become so big that it's
Yeah.
almost impossible for them to
Right.
try to even patch
and
them.
we're just getting into winter where
Correct.
it's just gonna get bad.
Yeah,
you
so
know, for
they
the
do the
next
best
year.
that they can, just trying to maintain some of the holes, but
Yeah.
some of these holes will suck in a car, they're so big on
Yeah.
Northland Plaza.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so it is 7:30, so let's go ahead and start our actual council meeting. Just one more thing, we sent you guys a social media post thing, everybody has it. This came in our insurance, it's black and white, I think, for you. It's just an FYI for you guys, just to kind of show you what's public record, what's not public record, and all that good stuff. Just, again, it was just a fun little read. The other part that I want to say is, we've gone through last year's legislation. So some of the legislation that, and we've mentioned most of them tonight, that you guys are gonna see that have to be passed before the end of the year. Rules of council are gonna come back up, health insurance, the budget, employee handbook, annual compensations. You guys are gonna have a crap ton of legislation that you guys are gonna see next week,
Okay.
just as an FYI, as first reading.
Adjourn.
Yes, I'm done.
Next week is
Or 2 weeks, sorry. I am not